relationships are the key. And I believe that every person that you meet, it's important to build a relationship with them, because you just do not know, and certainly don't burn any bridges, because you never know where they'll come into your life in the future. And that has seriously, there are a number of really good key clients that we've got here at Fuller now that have come about through relationships that I started 10 years ago.
Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me, PK, on the next episode of Be The Drop.
Thanks, Amelia. Great to be here.
It's very exciting, and we're here in the Fuller Heart. This is the comms, what do we call this? The strategy room?
This is our white room. When I need to book it online for a meeting, it's the white room. But it is our strategy room, yeah. We were a publishing house for many years, as well as being, when we first started, we started in PR. We've evolved over the years now to become a full-service marketing brand communication agency. But for many years, we were a publishing house, and this was actually where magazines like WBM, Brossa Living, Adelaide Hills Mag, Parade, etc. were all created.
Right here.
We sold that business off a few years ago now to New Style, and we've kept this space for strategy, for meetings. It's great.
Yeah.
We love it.
It is great. It's a lovely space.
It is.
Now, I know that you've brought along your item or items of significance.
Indeed.
And that's going to put a little bit of context about you and your communication journey and how that connects you to your community.
Yeah, I suppose there were two things. When you asked me to bring something along, I suppose, as a bit of a memory, there were two things. One is the no-name book, but it's actually my notes from, I used to work for Country Road. So Country Road Clothing, we're talking the 80s, showing my age, but I worked there part-time and then full-time, went overseas, came back and worked there full-time. But the training from Country Road back then in the 80s, anyone who worked there will attest, it was just outstanding. And these are my notes, my handwritten notes from training. So it's attitude is the key. You know, the key to success is preparation. This compensates for a lack of talent. If you are better prepared, you are more able to act and perform correctly. Turn learning into action. These are like this is what you learned to sell clothes, to sell Country Road clothes.
That is fantastic.
And then it goes through everything like greeting and approach. Attitude is the key. Handling objections. But I still, to this day, refer back to this book.
It's like the gold handbook.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and I love it. But I've used it throughout my life, I suppose, as a bit of a reference tool for different jobs that I've had. My background, I suppose, I've always been in media sales. I was at Rip It Up magazine for many years as a writer, then moved into sales there, and then ended up managing the advertising team there, moved into another sales role with the Australian Traffic Network, all sales-based jobs, and where I'm now here at Fuller, I'm the business development manager, so basically selling professional services for an agency. So one of the other things that I suppose that I live by is, and it's a bit of a, everyone says it, but carpe diem, seize the day. It's been something that I've lived pretty well all my life, but certainly since my sister died 12 years ago now, and she was a fantastic motivator for me, as was my mum, and my mum sadly passed away as well. So I suppose I've had this, she died, 4 or 5 years ago now, and I've had this attitude to just seize the day and live for every day. And one of the items that you mentioned to bring along,
we've got a second one.
A little note that I bring in my wallet every day. And my mum gave this to me. Gosh, I was going to a school reunion, I think it was, and as positive and confident as I am, we all have times when you feel a little bit down, you're not really sure.
Yeah.
So this was a handwritten note that my mum gave me. Dear P, enjoy today. Hold your head up. You are just as good as them. Love, Mum. I've certainly evolved over the years and realised that relationships are the key. And that's, and it's something that we learned, when I was at Country Road, it was building the relationship with the regular customer, and just making, seeing them and getting to know them quite well. And as it is in any sales role, and certainly with a business development role, you're developing the relationship. And so you're developing a relationship with them, but it's building the trust. And that's what I've found certainly with this role. And I believe that every person that you meet, it's important to build a relationship with them, because you just do not know, and certainly don't burn any bridges, because you never know where they'll come into your life in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
And that has seriously, there are a number of really good key clients that we've got here at Fuller now that have come about through relationships that I started 10 years ago.
What do you think is key in nurturing a strong business relationship?
I think you've got to be transparent from the outset. You can't bullshit. You just got to put all your cards on the table and show them that clearly you're interested in what they have to say and their business. But listen, definitely listen to everything, and then, don't want to give away my secret here, but one of the biggest mistakes I think that people think that, it's a waste of time, I'm not going to go to that event. It's got nothing to do with my industry, or it's got nothing to do with anything. There's no clients there, there's no, mate, you just have no idea until you actually go along and start chatting to people and finding out more about what they do and listening to what they do and going, hang on a minute, there could be some opportunity there. And it comes back to trust again, and not being too pushy.
So when you're building this trust and building relationships in a business context, how much does your personal story come into it? So if you're attending events and things like that, what is your balance between talking Fuller talk and talking PK talk?
Sure, yeah. Well, I suppose I try to, at the end of the day, obviously I want people to know what Fuller does and how we work, but then I think it's also telling the story as to how I got here, and the fact that, yes, I was in media sales. I already knew what sales reps, what their motivation was. And so now I suppose when I'm chatting to people, I know not to be too pushy. I know just to have a general chat and just chat about stuff, and obviously drop little nuggets of gold in there about what Fuller does, and just even if they go, oh no, we're fine, we've already got an agency, we're okay. It's like, that's okay. I just want to plant the seed. I just want to let you know about what we do, because who knows, tomorrow that agency relationship could fall over, or we may open up a new opportunity that they've never looked at. We're a Google partner now. We're one of a handful of agencies here in Adelaide who are Google partners, and we found that there's a great new opportunity for many clients to use us for Google AdWord advertising. So there's always going to be an opportunity for me to find something to chat about. It's just a matter of not being too pushy. It took me a while to get that into my head. I remember when I first started here at Fuller, I was like, right, I'm gonna get out there and get some sales, no worries at all. And Fuller's, Catherine and Peter, Peter Fuller started the business 25 years ago, they were like, it's all right, PK, they've had business development people here before, who've done well, but with different approaches, I suppose. And they said, no, you just got to plant that seed, and it'll flourish at some point. One client that we've put on, I suppose, I've been here 2.5 years, and there's one of our recent clients, I remember meeting with them in the first week that I started, and it took 2 years for them to finally go, okay, actually. And it wasn't that they were putting it off or anything like that. It was just that I'd kept in touch with them. They're on our database, pop in and see them every now and then, pick up the phone and say hi, have a chat, send them an email, see them at an event. And again, seeing people at an event and not assuming that you're never going to work with them.
No, it's when the alignment happens. I know that a number of people might find going to events, particularly by themselves, intimidating.
Sure.
What's your advice around that?
I suppose the thing to do is to remember that if you are feeling nervous, there's going to be someone else that feels the same way. But if your goal is to go there and to hopefully win business, or to develop a relationship, or build trust with people, then my suggestion would be to get there early. I'd like to get to events 10 minutes early, 15 minutes early, say hi to the people. I often will know the people that are running the event, get to know them well. That's always gold as well, because then if there's another event, some of the events that I go to, they invite 200 people. Other events, there are only 20 people, and the 20 people events are fantastic, because that's when you really get to communicate and engage with someone. And so they're the events that you really want to go to. And so getting to know the people that run the events is good, because they might have someone who drops out at the last minute and they pick up the phone.
Okay. PK will come.
Yeah, exactly. And I go, yeah, sure, I'll be there. The other benefit of getting there early is to have a look at all the name tags. Have a look at and read them. And I stand there and just read them through, and yep, I know that person. Yep, and it's not saying, great, I know that person. It's like, oh, good, that person's there. I know I can chat to that person about something. Oh, Hagues. Yeah, I love Hagues. Or, I'll chat to that person. I'll try and track down that person. We've all got a phone, Google. Go and Google it and go, okay. And then don't let that person know that you've done a little bit of homework on them as well, because then you can go and chat. So, Amelia, tell me a little bit like narrative marketing. Yeah, so you've been around for, how long is it? And you know in yourself how long you've been around for, but you want to get them talking. So that's the other thing. If you're nervous, get other people talking and ask them questions, kind of thing, and get them talking about their business, because they know what they do. They're confident about it, and you'll find that then the conversation will then just start flowing, kind of thing. And exchange business cards clearly is another important thing. Make sure you exchange the card and say, look, I'll follow it up. I'll add them on LinkedIn. Don't be shy to add someone on LinkedIn, and it's often a great way to do it as well, rather than just go and say add. When you add them, and these days LinkedIn pops up with, would you like to add a note, which I think is absolutely gold. Just say, it was really good to meet you the other day. Just a little reminder. Don't expect that they will remember you, but if there's a little anecdote that's something that, oh, how was the weekend in the Barossa, or hope it was really nice to meet you on Friday. Hope you had a great weekend in the Barossa. Let's chat. Let's keep in touch. Don't assume that they won't want to keep in touch. They probably will. They're probably building their network just as much as you are.
And it's interesting. So then, for you, is LinkedIn an extension of that?
It's just good to find out more about what people are doing. Clearly, I think it's so important these days to have an up-to-date LinkedIn profile, because as we know, even for job seekers, it's basically where people are going to go. They're going to go and stalk you. They're going to want to find out more about you.
And so, as far as the social platforms go, what do you find is where what are you using the most in your role?
Yeah, in my role here at Fuller, if I'm meeting with a client here in this room, a potential client, I'll bring up their webpage and then I'll go and search all their as much social as I can, just so, because we'll often refer to it anyway. So I will see what they have and then find out from them what channels they're using. And if it is a digital discussion, I'll bring in our digital marketing strategist. And if it's something that I know is going to go digital, down the track of digital, I probably would have asked her to do a search on whether they're using AdWords or how they're utilizing Facebook or content, etc. I still think it's important we get the news, the advertiser here every day, and a story popped up today about a client that we've got, but within their industries, and I yelled out to the account manager, oh, there's a story about such and such, it might be of interest to that client, kind of thing. So I think all forms of media are important. It's just a matter of, because they all complement each other. The hardest thing, obviously, as we know with Facebook, is there's so much to wade through. Oh my God, in your newsfeed. And so that's also, though, that's why, as we know, from a content perspective, that's when you want to make sure that your content is engaging and meaningful, so that someone like me and you who want to know more about a client is going to stop and read about them.
Well, and really what you've touched on there is the fact that there are so many different platforms, and why you personally might focus on LinkedIn and Facebook. Clients that you're dealing with, and therefore content that you need to be across might be on Instagram and Twitter or Google Plus or whatever. So how do you work with clients to help sort of deal with the overwhelm? Because realistically, and as you said, the Facebook feeds are cluttered, there's so much stuff going on. I feel like there's a saturation.
There is, look, and it comes back to strategy for us, and we have it on the board behind me. Behind me here, we have strategy, and with research leading into strategy is so important, and from that, everything else should follow. And that's why we do comm strategies, we do brand strategies, we do digital strategies, so that when you do get to that point, it's like, oh, I've got this really good piece, or the comms manager or someone, or even the CEO might say, really good story that I think we should push next month on our blog, kind of thing. The marketing manager can go back and go, well, that's great, but here's the strategy that we did. We've tried that, but here's the data. That's the other beautiful thing, obviously, about digital as well, that you can get the results and you can measure the results and evaluate it. But if it doesn't connect back to the original strategy, then it's probably not worth doing, and that will hopefully help drive where to distribute.
Well, and that helps reduce the overwhelm. Because there's clarity, and you don't need to get caught up on whether it should be this platform or that platform. You go, well, the strategy dictates that it's this. Do you think that there is a shift around more stories and less, I suppose, just straight advertising style of content?
I think it's. I think if someone came to me today and said, we've got this massive chunk of money that we want to spend on advertising, we would say, sure, you'd be better off investing that in content that you own, that you can then distribute, rather than, I mean, personally, I feel that advertising is shouting at someone, whereas creating content is talking with someone and engaging with someone about something that's of interest to them. And you're not just shouting to the world here with a massive broad brush. You're actually writing about something that's of interest to that person, and you're not wasting anybody else's time or brain matter. And again, it comes back to trust, and it's authentic. It's the real person talking about the product themselves, rather than someone yelling at you, telling you how good the product is.
Yeah. When you're talking about relationship building, what is the challenge around using, say, a digital form like an email as opposed to a phone call?
Sure. I think the danger is that you can hide behind email, and we know that. It's easy just to write an email or to send a text or to send someone a messenger kind of thing. But obviously there's a benefit of doing that. But I think there's nothing beats picking up the phone and actually speaking to someone. As we know, email and text, the inflection can become a massive issue. Or even someone who thinks that they communicate, saying what they think when they say, "Yeah, no worries, I'll do that." It's like, well, which part of what I asked you are you referring to? Kind of thing. Or I've got that. I think I sent an email to someone the other day. But there was a few different elements to it, and they just wrote back, "Yep, got it." I'm like, so does that mean that you understood the bit that I was saying, or the fact that you actually received the email and the attachment kind of thing? So I think it's important. Obviously, we have to use what the most effective communications tools that we have on hand. Yeah. But I think old school, picking up the phone and talking to people, and even my daughters. I've got a 14-year-old, and I want her to be able to make sure that she does that she does pick up the phone, and that she talks to that person on the bus, rather than just be on her phone all the time, which she's doing really. It's a little bit of a struggle, I think, because everyone else, Dad, what are you talking about? Everyone else is on their phone. Why shouldn't they sit and talk to someone? So I think it's really, it's that old school getting back to what communication is really about. And
so in that, the importance of telling a story, sometimes that can get a little bit, if you're talking in a business context, business world, you need to tell a story. Sometimes there can be a bit of reluctance about that. What's your thoughts on how brand storytelling can add value to the bottom line?
It's not product placement, like advertising, I think it could be product placement, and let's put the Coke there so that people can see that it's the Coke bottle. We're not talking about that. We're actually talking about actually tasting the Coke and actually drinking the Coke and chatting to them about the flavour and etc. Which what you can try and do through 15, 30-second advertisement, but long form, well, not long form. You don't want to bore them, but actually getting to the crux of what the product is or what the brand is about through effective storytelling is just gold. It's the only way that you can engage, I think, properly with someone, is actually getting the people behind the brand to tell the story. If you can get the person who created the brand, or the family member who started it, or the person that came up with the idea, as it comes back to them being passionate about it, and it becomes very easy. I know they may think, and that's the other thing, like you said, how do you convince a client, that they should be the person to talk about it? Also, and often, they may not necessarily be the right person to talk about it, but you'll still get little nuggets of gold out of that person that you can then build on.
Well, thank you so much, PK.
No worries.
In conclusion though, can you share with me PK's be the drop tip? So that's your top communication and connection tip.
Well, I did, there is something I prepared earlier for this.
Fabulous.
And it comes back to networking, and when you go to a networking event, you'll get a name tag, right? And here are some from one that we had here recently. So you're going to be Tracy.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm going to be Banpreet.
Great.
And we're going to put our name tags on somewhere, yeah?
Oh, I have a pocket, which is unusual, so that's great.
I would usually have a jacket, and I would put it on my lapel there.
Yeah.
And so when I go to meet you, I'll go, "Hi, nice to meet you," and I'll go, "Tracy." And Tracy, nice to meet you, Tracy. Yep, good to meet you. Okay, and you'll say,
"Hi, good to meet you, Banpreet."
Banpreet, exactly. But the thing is, the reason we're talking about it is you put it on your right hand side. So if you put it on the right hand side, it is the line of sight. So therefore,
I had it on the wrong side.
You did. So if you put it on your right hand side, then even if I know you, Tracy, I'll go, "Hi, Tracy, how you going? Good to see you."
It's much easier.
And I see it really quickly. The other element obviously is that it's not awkward. I'm not like trying to, awkward, especially.
I know, particularly for women.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
And some ladies sometimes put it on the side like that.
I know. Well, because it goes there. Because it's like, because you
like,
don't want to put the pin through.
Yeah, and it just helps with networking, like and breaking the ice so much better. If your name tag is on the right hand side, it means that they can see your name straight away. Yep. You may say hi to me and expect that I know you and that I know your name. If I quickly look and go, oh hi, yeah, how you going, Tracy? Yeah, good to see you.
It's awkward when you've met someone before and you can't quite remember their name, but the name tag's
you see it straight away. And it's just that natural line of sight also, so that when I put my hand forward, so if I'm standing like this and my name tag's over here,
I can't see it. I'm going, hi.
Exactly. It just helps. So it's so put your name tag on the right hand side.
Fabulous.
That is my tip.
That is a brilliant tip. Thank you so much.
Oh, good.
Great.
No worries. Thanks for the op.